Okay, today I have the pleasure of talking with Dr. Boyle, who is the chair of the Fellows and Young Attendings Committee of the SSO. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
And the first question is going to be, how are we engaging medical students? Obviously, they're many years away from figuring out what their specialty within surgery will be if they decide on surgery. So how are we informing them as to how to make a decision?
So we want all our medical students to obviously become surgical oncologists. So one of the things we were noticing that more of the medical students are spending less time in the classroom and starting their clinical rotations earlier. And it creates a challenge because they don't always know what to expect on their surgical oncology and breast surgical oncology rotation, both on operative anatomy and the educational material, what they need to know about each system space. So our committee noticed this, and we decided that it would be really helpful to make a primer for medical students, where we could have a document that's kind of like a cheat sheet to what you need to know for the rotation. Our goal is to go over all the systems in surgical oncology and then have a separate one for breast, for both benign disease and cancer, so that medical students are well prepared before even setting foot in the operating room and on our rotations. And when we were talking about it, our goal is to actually publish an open access journal so medical students from across the world can really have access to it without having to pay fees for it.
This is really a great idea, and Surgical Oncology Insight will be a perfect place to put these. This, I think, will have a very big impact. So remarkably, out of the SSO membership, we have about 300 people that fall into the medical student and surgical resident category. And so what are we doing from the SSO in terms of focusing on residents?
So SSO came up with an incredible initiative of having a resident track at the upcoming meeting in 2025. So part of our committee has been asked to help with their programming, and we're very excited to do this. And one of the sessions we are going to continue, Dr. Calicia Clark initiated it last year about becoming a surgical oncologist. And we want to prepare all trainees for a successful match. So our goal is to have that session, and we're going to talk about everything. We're going to talk about CGSO fellowship overview, the breast fellowship overview, and what you need to know for your personal statement, your ABSITE scores, your research, and letters of recommendations. And once you form that application, then how to interview and how to make your rank list. And then once you've been successful in matching, what are the next steps as a fellow to have a successful career? So we're really excited to have that session amongst many others that are geared towards the residents at SSO this next year.
And then last but not least, the name of your committee, what are you doing for the fellows and young attendings, as if you don't have enough to do already?
One thing we thought about was that there's a lot of stressful things about becoming a young attending. And we wanted to focus specifically on that, because when you transition from a fellow to an attending, nobody kind of tells you what the first few years are going to be like. So we actually are going to release a webinar this fall about stressors of being a young attending and how to navigate past the first few years, including operative complications, how to manage work-life balance, how to have a research career, and how to just succeed in your personal life as well. So we're going to release that as a webinar, just so there can be a lot of engagement, because we anticipate the Q&A section will be very lengthy. And then we're actually going to have this as a session at SSO at the annual meeting.
I certainly congratulate you for coming up with innovative ideas, which I think are going to help the whole spectrum from medical student to young attending, which is a large group, and I think it's never too early to introduce surgical oncology education and certainly professional career development. So really strong work, very impressive.
Thank you so much for having me.